of the Game Changer. I'm Becky Norwood with Spotlight Publishing House, and we have with us Elaine Jackson and Gerry Foster and Dr. Lynn E. Cook. We will probably have one more. We've had some camera difficulties, so today's a great day of celebration, and we are really delighted, excited. We brought the Kindle version to #1, and now we're working on getting the print version to #1. So what a time to really celebrate. So let's open the conversation. Gerry, since you're the only man, let's talk about your chapter. You know, sometimes we have to kind of, work with you there when you're just the only one. The name of your chapter was The Magic of Branding Big. Let's talk about that and what your journey has been in writing this chapter and
Sure.
participating.
Sure. It was interesting because I've never told this story before, and it was an incident with my dad where he was a very successful dentist back in Detroit, Michigan. Long story short, most of his patients came from the auto industry, and the auto industry collapsed. And so he called me one day and said, "Hey, you got any ideas on how to get patients? I need more patients." And I couldn't help him. And so that's bring into action the whole idea around how can I help other people who offer services, any kind of home-based, service-based business, business-to-business services, whatever. Because in my case, I couldn't help him because I didn't know anything about how to brand successfully services. I knew how to brand products because I came out of corporate America. And so that led to the creation of my one-of-a-kind system called the Big Brand Formula. Um, and I share a lot of that happened during those early years. It was a struggle for me for many, many years. And I won't give the surprise away, but it was tough. It was real tough.
So, don't you feel though that the struggles that we have are what make us who we are today?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, had I not gone through that struggle, what what never would have emerged is what people call me today, which is the branding evangelist, because I preach and teach the gospel of big branding to service-based entrepreneurs around the world. And so, had that incident not happened, then none of what I've created many years later, because we're talking about something that happened over 30 years ago. Okay, so
Hmm.
a long time ago, and so it really left an impression on me for sure.
It would make an impression on you, and it's so important, really, to realize that the things that happen in our life. And I'm sorry, my dogs have decided to play like crazy right now.
I love dogs.
I I had 5 dogs in my house because I was babysitting 3, and 2 of them just left. So I'm like down to 3, and it's a good thing. And so, but really, it is those things that happen in our lives, maybe from even in our youth, that turn out to have a way of how we serve in the world today. So, congratulations that you chose to learn from that course of what you went through to bring who you are today.
Thank you.
So, Elaine, yours is using martial arts and project management to master self control. So, what was the inspiration for this chapter?
The inspiration for the chapter is I find that I'm always fighting. Oh, and I enjoy it, but sometimes it's not always it's not always appropriate to fight. Sometimes it's better to sit still and let the situation pass you by. So I've been teaching and coaching in project management since 2003, and I found that it ties in with everything that I did in my life from before, everything that I've lived through, everything that I experienced. My parents being very controlling. So when you're raised in a household that's controlling, you think, well, that's the way, that's how you keep control, but probably wasn't the best approach. And so I then adopted liking styles, martial arts, fencing, kendo, anything physical, hitting, running, jumping. And I find on projects, that kind of energy, I bring it to the project. People are like, oh my God, where'd you get this energy from? We can't keep up. I'm like, that's okay. Do what you can, but just keep going. And so I found that in project management as well as in martial arts, you have to be disciplined. You have to, there are certain codes of ethics, codes of behavior. and you have to follow those in order to make sure, number one, you're not doing it for the wrong reason. You'll never see a martial artist walk up into a crowd and go beat somebody down.
Let's hope not.
It's never, although they have the power to do so,
Right.
they know that you can't use your power like that.
There's a
And
lot
so-
of self-control that takes
Yeah.
place.
Yeah. And in project management, even though someone is supposed to be leading the team, and you have to be fair and you have to be transparent, and you can't have any hidden agendas. And a lot of project managers, they get a lot of power, and with that power sometimes comes behaviors that are not always the best. So they have to learn self-control and being able to uh, help others without a hidden agenda behind all of that.
Beautiful. And it's a beautiful way that you can lead, and really make a difference for other people. Thank you
Correct.
for that. So for you, Dr. Lynn, the hunting jar, very interesting title. So can we talk about the hunting jar?
Yeah, sure. First and foremost, thank you for hosting the live. It's wonderful to be with Elaine and Gerry as well as you. So thank you
Thank
for
you.
just spending time with us to talk about our chapters. So regarding the hunting jar, the concept is related to when we actually have dreams that we place on the shelf, and that those dreams, when we leave them on the shelf and ignore the glow of those dreams, they die. And as we live our day-to-day lives, ignoring our dreams, our internal dreams that serve as the compass of our souls, our life's purpose, it haunts us. It calls out to us from the darkness of our heart. And so my chapter really is about removing those dreams off the shelf, unscrewing those jars, and honoring and listening to. It's really the story of how we all have things that we just kind of ignore, but when we do embrace them, it's that transformation or transformative catalyst to really, shift our lives or make the biggest difference in the world in terms of our life experience.
Beautiful, beautiful. That is so, it is true, because sometimes we hide ourselves and we don't really live life full out, because we have things that maybe we're ashamed of, or maybe we don't understand, and life brings us a lot of curveballs. And beautiful. Thank you. Vicki, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you
Yeah.
hear me?
Sorry about the not being able to see your beautiful face. But if you don't mind, we'll include you in this conversation. This is Vicki Noethling. Is that how you pronounce your last name?
That's correct. Noethling. The O is silent.
It's just a conversation.
Yes, it is just a conversation.
So let's have a conversation about your chapter. It's just a conversation.
So the chapter really focuses a lot on the confidence that we have inside of us, but we tend to find excuses for not letting ourselves shine and our voices be heard, and that keeps us so much from being able to accomplish the greatness that's in all of us. And so the chapter really talks about how if you just stop thinking of it as a speech, as a pitch, as a proposal, as a presentation, and just make yourself think of it as a conversation, that it is just the two of us having this simple conversation about what we do, why we do it, and telling our stories. And when you can do that, you can make such an impact.
That's beautiful. I always say that each one of us have treasured gifts that the world's just waiting to experience, and it's up
Yeah.
to us to stand up and show those treasured gifts. Thank you,
Yeah.
Vicki. So, what did writing this chapter do for you?
So this is actually my fourth book this year, and
Wow.
they've all been about confidence. I have a podcast on confidence, and so really what it's done for me, and I think anyone who's written a book, is to really allow you to get clear
Mm-hmm.
on what it is that you do and why you do it, and on my mission to help others. I'm going to be 65 on January 8th. And I realized that there are so many people in their 20s and 30s, especially after the pandemic, that need guidance. They need a clue. And I just wanted to be able to connect them with as many ideas and people that can help them have their next 10 years, 20 years in business, or as business owners, to be productive, to be fun, to be exciting.
Yep, very good. And how about for you, Gerry? What did writing your chapter do for you?
Oh my goodness, it was very enlightening because, like you alluded to, the title of the chapter is The Magic of Branding Big. And so there's magic when any of us who are business owners, especially those of us who offer services, look beyond simply putting out something that most people might consider, well, there's other people who do the same thing. And so for me, it really opened up the door to stepping into reshaping what's possible for our businesses by standing at a higher threshold and looking at the impact that you want to have through your expertise, through the skills and the abilities and the talent that you've been blessed with. Because it's the old cliche, Becky, which is go big or go home. And
Right.
so if you've got your own business, then you really have to be willing to step into your greatness, affirm it, blab it and grab it, and put something out into the world that people will really take a look at and go, yes. And that for me allows me to feel just how much my work matters to other people. Just like for other entrepreneurs, we have to keep in touch with, hey, we're doing big things that can really, really make big things happen for the people we serve.
That's beautiful. And don't you think that I would say, yes, there's a lot of things that go on in our world that are not altogether wonderful. And yet I think the vast majority of us are wonderful and really good. And it's up to us to stand up and shine our light. And, when we can share our story, when we can make a difference that way, we become advocates. We become way showers. We share the light of truth on certain matters, and we unite people for amazing causes. And whether that's stepping into their goodness and their amazingness, or for something far bigger than that, it's still important that we share our stories in powerful ways. And what better way than in the pages of a book that become evergreen, that maybe even 100 years from now somebody will pick up that book and say, wow, what a book. What an amazing book.
Yeah, absolutely. And in my case, my vessel is your brand. I mean, your brand is this thing that you've been given. It's your reputation. It's what defines you in the eyes of the people you're being called to serve. And so I acknowledge you for having this book, because just like my fellow panelists here, my buddies, my friends, we all kind of hang out sometimes. It's all about us being able to tap into our zone of genius and put something out into the world that the world cannot ignore, that we were meant to accomplish. And that's, for me, it's about your brand.
Very good. And Lynn, how about for you? What did writing your chapter of the book do for you on a personal level?
Sure. For me, in terms of writing my chapter, it helped me to clearly demonstrate how creating a physical product, going through the process of product design, actually lends itself to life design as well. So in my story, I talk about, my own personal rock bottom, and how just the act of creating a physical product helped me redesign my life in the process. So similar to what Gerry said, when you really kind of embrace your purpose, it transforms and it changes, and it allows you to move in the world and have a relationship with the world and in the world on a level, greater and broader than you ever did before. So for me, writing my chapter allowed me to connect those dots, either for myself, but also for my reader as well.
Beautiful. That's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. And Elaine, what did writing your chapter do for you?
Well, writing the chapter made me realize that as I help individuals, I'm actually making major strides in changing lives of people that normally they just came to me for training so they could pass an exam, or they came to me for coaching. And then I end up coaching them in a way that They've gone on, not only got their PMP certification, got another master's, got a PhD, went on and did all these business. I'm like, whoa, I want a PhD too. Like, wait a minute. I'm really thinking, if I could make money standing outside a casino and let people rub my head, I give them a couple of motivational words, they go in there and win the money. I'm thinking that I have that kind of mojo. So I believe the power I have when I talk to people, they just get this power that I can do it. So I empower them and I take them and push them and go get that job, go get that raise, go talk to that manager, go talk to that coworker and tell them what you really think and let them know that you're not going to stand for it. And I've empowered people to act in responsible ways, but they get results. And I'm like, wow, I'm powerful.
Beautiful. This is a real day of celebration because it's one more masterpiece that has been put out to the world for making a really big difference in the world. So for you, Elaine, what's that key takeaway that when somebody picks up this book, what do you hope they walk away with after they've opened the pages and perused through the book?
Yeah, what I would like to know is that people who are stuck, because I've had some very uncomfortable work situations where just couldn't get raises. I had a manager give me 25 cents raise. 25 cents. I mean, when I think about it, it's like I probably could have gone to jail if I had decided to do something about that. It was 25 cents. Are you crazy? So I want people to say, yeah, I'm not stuck. I can make a change. I can leave this job. Or I can talk to the manager and then escalate it. Or if something's wrong, I can go get an attorney and sue this company, or I can do something about it. I don't have to stay here for 14, 15, right. 20 years.
That's the key. You don't have to stay. Yeah, move on. Yeah, very good. How about for you, Vicki? What do you hope somebody takes away from reading your chapter in the book and the book as a whole?
I really want those people that are out there that have tremendous products, tremendous services, and I want them to gain the confidence to go out and tell people about it and do it in a way that will make people be captivated, will make them want to know more, allow themselves, give themselves permission to be passionate in their delivery. I always tell people it's really not the product or service that sells it, it's you and your passion and your persuasiveness and how you believe in it. And so that's what I want from the people, is to give them permission to be authentic, to be vulnerable, and tell their story.
Beautiful. And for you, Lynn?
Sure. So I had an experience when someone who purchased the book actually read my chapter and gave me feedback. And they gave me feedback in the form of orating my chapter and then adding animation to it. And they said, wow, it was the sweetest compliment. And they said, you wrote this chapter for me, and I am so motivated. You were speaking exactly to me. And for me, that's my hope, that people are inspired, if not by my story, by another story within the book. And then with that inspiration, they actually do something with it. They submit themselves to that inspiration and move forward. So um, that was one of the reasons why I participated in the anthology project, but also one of the takeaways that I hope people are able to, achieve with reading one or two or the entire, one or two chapters or the entire book itself.
That's beautiful. I publish a lot of compilation type books, actually a lot of all kinds of books, which is pretty amazing. But one of the things that people have said is that when they sit down to read the book, they'll just open the book and say, what chapter do I need to read today? And, and sometimes, and you can do that multiple times and it's always a different chapter, But what a beautiful compliment that had to have been for you, and really, really touch your heart and make you realize, wow, what I am doing is definitely on the right track. That's awesome. Very good. And for you, Gerry, what do you hope somebody gains when they open that book and say, wow, look at this book?
That we all have the power within us to be a game changer.
Absolutely.
And for me, it's about knowing that all of us have something exceptional to offer the world. And that if we just take the time to dig and to capture our own rarity, those things that we have been given as exceptional gifts and skills and talents and abilities, and if we can nail down our own uniqueness and our unrivaled value to offer the world, then we can really, really have an impact. And I think Becky, a lot of people, they go through life and they're just not embracing the fact that everyone can make a difference. I know it sounds cliche, but everyone can be a game changer. And that's, for me, is what this
Oh,
book is.
absolutely. Absolutely. And I appreciate that because there's so many that don't really ever know that they can step into their greatness and into their power. And yet, at a time that we live today with being able to be on a streaming video like this, where our message has the potential to get out wide and far and wide. And what an amazing thing that is that, 50, even 20 years ago, we didn't have this tool set. And look at the world is our oyster right now. And our messages can go so much further than ever than they could have ever before, even in the self-publishing, the publishing realm, to be able to get our books out in this way and the tool sets that are available. Truly amazing. So we live in such incredible times where we can touch lives. And I live in near Phoenix. I'm west of Phoenix, but the freeway system is like just incredible. And the cars are just thousands and thousands of cars flying past you when you're on the freeways. And yet to think of yourselves being a published author, whether it's a chapter in a book or a whole book, you're still a rarity. You're still an amazing human being that has chosen to stand up and make a difference and to let your light shine in big ways. So congratulations to each one of you for, wow, look what you've done. Really, really look at what you've done, because we're still among the few, and yet our voices, as we continue to let them rise, we will affect those many to stand up and start being among more than the few. So,
And Becky, I want to just commend you for taking us and ushering us through this process. Like, you absolutely made it an easy thing to accomplish, where we all we really had to do was focus on writing our chapter. And you handheld us and you handled everything else on the back end. So we're able to be, amongst, the published because of the work that you do and how you also impact the world. So thank you so much for
thank
that.
you. Thank you. I feel honored by that. So today's a day to celebrate, enjoy this day, and celebrate this day the fact that this book is out to the world, and know that it will serve for years to come, and really just take the time to pause and celebrate amongst each other and individually with your own families. Celebrate this day because it is a major accomplishment. And for those that will listen, usually we have a number of people that are listening live, but maybe it's too early in the morning for people. but these all these videos are wherever they were placed. They're a lot on. Well, it looks like there must be at least 10 different places that they're showing live right at this time. They will be seen. And this is so important. It's a beautiful time and a big sense of accomplishment. For those that are listening, we do have the link going across the bottom here for Get Book at Game Changer 7. It's also in the chat for some of the platforms. Thank you to each one of you. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for your contribution. Thank you for standing up and being the wonderful yous that you are.
Thank you. Thank you so much,
Thank
Becky.
you.
Thank you, Becky.
All right.
Thank you, Becky.